Okay. Well, thank you everyone again for joining this evening. Um, Tonight we're going to be gathering for We Are Warriors. It's a community activation that is tapping into the energy of our ancestors. And over the many years of generational reparative connecting work, I feel like we talk a lot about the ancestral traumas that we're clearing, the ancestral curses that we're clearing. And yes, rightfully so, a lot of us are doing that work. But tonight, I really want to highlight the warriors of our ancestry, the warriors who whose shoulders we stand on, whose energy I feel we really need to be tapping into in this moment in the collective, the way the world is moving. We are moving through really challenging times, really unstable times. We are in the midst of spiritual warfare, and it's being felt all around the world. Um, from the microcosm to the macro, we're all experiencing these deep shifts and this general upset and feeling disconnected, feeling untethered to our bodies, feeling untethered to the here and the now because so much is coming up and we're processing so much constantly. And in this moment, I have been taking the time to connect with my ancestors. I see a lot of folks for sessions, one-on-ones, having a botanica over the years. And what I've found has been the most helpful and supportive is connecting more deeply to your spiritual roots, connecting more deeply to an ancestral practice or something that feels really authentically you, where you're taking a moment to connect to your Ori, connect to your higher self, connect to your inner self, maybe your inner child. Um, and so this evening, I wanted to offer a spiritual practice that has been very grounding for me in this moment. And we're going to be talking about plants, plant medicine. I like to call them plant cesters because they all have something to teach us. This evening, we're also going to be discussing two Orisha, the Orisha Ogun and the Orisha Oshun. In this year's La Letra del Ano, they were named as the energy holders of 2026. So we'll be diving deeper into that as we move through the class and talking about accessible herbs that you can find on the supermarket shelves. You probably even have them potentially dried in your cabinet in this moment. So I'm really wanting to reach that we can, do like our ancestors did, like make do with what we have. Maybe he had like a root vegetable, the tree, maybe a river, like they did magic. So we could do a lot with the herbs just in the cabinet that we have right now. Um, Sorry, I am trying to figure out Zoom because, I'm still out here doing that. Okay, here we go. Now I have like the Brady Bunch view because before I was just seeing myself and I'm like, that's weird. So now I can see everyone. Hi, everyone. So nice to see your faces. All right, so I am going to share my screen. Oh, hold on.
Lindsay, really quick question. Will this be
Yes,
recorded?
it is being recorded right now. Yes,
Okay, cool. Because I won't be able to stay for the full call, but I wanted to hop on and get some of this information as much as I can.
of course. Yeah, no, it'll be up in the next 24 hours or so. Okay, here
And
we go.
Lindsay, just uplifting.
Well,
Someone
thank you,
asked
Antonica, for popping
in the chat about
in. Mhm.
captions.
Oh, let me see how to do that. Assign. Mhm. I'm really a geriatric millennial, y'all. It takes me like much longer than the average to figure this out, so please bear with me. I'm like, and you can see me on the screen. So if you see what I'm doing wrong or could be doing better, please jump in. Where would I find captions?
So, Lindsay, if I could jump in quickly too, folks can
Yes, please.
activate the captions on your own screen. So, if you're on Zoom and you go to the lower right-hand side, there's an option to, if you hit like more, there's an option to add captions, and y'all can activate the captions through there as well. So, I don't know if the
Thank
host
you.
has to do it, but you can activate it on your side as a viewer as well.
Thanks, Steve. Alrighty. Awesome. So I hope that helps because I'm not finding it on my end. Okay, so we'll be moving right along. So who am I in all of this? My name is Lindsay Ayala Hinalji. I am a Boricua woman, a teacher, I'm an artist. My work over the last almost 20 years now has been bridging ancestral plant medicines, Afro-Indigenous spirituality, and communal healing. I'm the founder of Yabisi, the founder of our Botanica. I'm a seventh generation Botanica owner, and the founder of the School of Remembrance, which this activation is a part of. My work is centered on creating spaces for ceremony, education, and remembrance that honor the living traditions of the African and Caribbean diasporas. Through my teaching, my writing, and my medicine making, I weave together Orisha cosmology, curanderismo, herbalism, and ritual as pathways for connection to the body, to the land, and to our lineage. My work invites others to reclaim ancestral knowledge, weaving the wisdom of our past into our everyday lives and activating community healing rooted in reverence, justice, and spirit. And meet some more folks. And a little bit about Yabisi. So Yabisi means trees in Taino, and we are a living ecosystem of ancestral remembrance rooted in earth medicine, in community, in culture, and in spirit. Throughout the diaspora, we call ourselves a centro. So a centro has served as a spiritual communal gathering place where ancestral knowledge, ritual, healing, and cultural memory are rooted, practiced, and passed on. Within we are rooted through 4 branches of practice. So there's the botanica, which many of you, that's been like the entranceway into our work. I recreate remedios that are from the Caribbean, from my personal family's lineage, and what's needed for community, what the collective is actually looking for. We also have a healing ecosystem, and it is basically a vetted referral network of integral practitioners and facilitators. You can go on our site and connect with all of these amazing folks who offer everything from plant medicine ceremonies to therapy to sound healing, etc. We also do a lot of events and gatherings. They are spirit-centered experiences honoring diasporic traditions. And then we have our School of Remembrance, which is launching June 29th this year. And it is a year-long training in Caribbean diasporic practices, blending curanderismo, herbalism, and espiritismo. So this program is a part of the free programming that we're launching, as we roll into June, the start date. But these are, accessible points for folks to see the type of work that we do, the type of work we'll be covering throughout the year. And for folks who are joining the School of Remembrance, these are sort of prerequisites because when we start, we really are going right in with this big I'm so excited. Okay, next. So I would love to start the evening with, it's a poem. I think of it also as a prayer. I love to share this at the beginning of community gatherings. And it reads, remember our ancestors. They taught us how to carry our culture in the canoes of our bodies. Remember our people scattered like stars, forming new constellations when we gather. Remember, home is not simply a house, a village, or an island. Home is an archipelago of belonging. Ashe. So to start off, I would love to guide you in a short 5-minute meditation just to ground in, to create the sacred container. So you can go ahead and find a comfortable seated position, allowing your spine to be upright, not rigid, but feeling soft and supported. Gently close your eyes if that feels safe for you, or lower your gaze. Taking a deep breath through your nose and exhaling slowly through your mouth. Again, inhaling and exhaling, letting the body begin to arrive. Feel the weight of your body where it meets the earth, whether through your feet or your seat or your back. As you breathe, let your shoulders soften, unclenching your jaw. Relaxing the space behind your eyes. Now let's bring your awareness down into your feet, the soles of your feet, where your body meets the earth. Begin to imagine that from the soles of your feet, roots begin to grow. Slowly extending downward, moving through the floor, through the foundation of the building, and deep into the soil beneath you. These roots move at their own pace, finding their way through layers of earth, stone, and water. With every exhale, they move a bit deeper and deeper until they reach the rich, fertile soil. With each inhale, imagine drawing nourishment up through these roots. Cool, steady, supportive energy rising up from the earth into your feet, into your legs, traveling up your body. With each exhale, release anything that you no longer need. Release the tension from your body. Release distraction in your mind. Release any energy that is not yours. Let that move down through the roots, back into to be composted. As you breathe, remember that you are supported, you are held, and you are rooted. Now begin to bring your awareness back to your breath again. Noticing the gentle rhythm of your inhale and your exhale. Feeling your body more present now, more anchored. Gently moving your fingers, your toes. Gently moving your back, your waist, perhaps your shoulders. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes as you arrive into the space. Yes, I see shoulders just like, we love to see it. All right, so moving on. Thank you for that, everyone. So this evening, as I mentioned, we will be talking about the Orisha Oshun and Ogun. Above this Kaurisha, there is a Yoruba saying, Kosi Ewe, Kosi Orisha, which means without the herbs, there are no Orisha. So in many Lukumi and Ocha lineages, the annual Letra del Ano in Cuba, they offer guidance on the spiritual themes that are going to be shaping the year ahead. And the divination for 2026, excuse me, the divination for 2026 revealed that the Odu Ifa Ogunda Otrupon, with Ogun as the regent, the regent Orisha, and Oshun as the accompanying sign. The pairing of these two Orisha is really interesting. It invites us to work with both the emotional wisdom as well as embodied action. Ogun represents iron, labor, discipline, war, and the courage to confront obstacles directly. While Oshun governs the waters of emotion, diplomacy, sweetness, and relational harmony. Odu often speaks of periods where conflict, social tension, and ethical challenges may arise, which we are already seeing just into the third month of the year. This is calling communities to strengthen family structures, to strengthen close community structures, to protect our health, and to uphold moral responsibilities. The teachings from this Odu remind us that force alone cannot guide us wisely, and sweetness alone cannot sustain us. We must move with both Ogun's determination and Oshun's grace. Within this context, herbs, or as I say, plant cestars, the ones that are connected to these Orisha become really powerful allies. They help us to call their energies closer. They help us to learn to embody that energy, to understand it more deeply, and to vibrationally match frequencies with these forces. Through plant medicines, we cultivate emotional balance, protection, clarity, and the courage to act, aligning ourselves with the energies that the Ifa has revealed for this year. So, as I mentioned earlier, in this process, we are reaching back to our ancestors, the ancestors who are the warriors. So many of them, especially those of us from the diaspora, there is, as I mentioned, a lot of us are moving through generational traumas and curses, but there is so much brilliance and so much magic and so much strength that our ancestors also hold. And I feel, again, at this time of where we are in the collective, let us reach back and remember that as well. And in my family, in my lineage, reaching back to earth, reaching back to the plants is how we remembered that relationship. So let's talk a bit about Oshun. I put some bullet points up here if you want to screenshot them, write them down. Oshun is the Orisha of fresh waters, of the rivers and the springs that sustain life. In many African diasporic traditions, she governs the realms of love, pleasure, sensuality, beauty, fertility, creativity, and the sweetness of life itself. She is deeply connected to the womb and the mysteries of creation, not just biological creation, but also the birth of ideas, of art, of relationships, and of new ways of living as we move into this new earth. Oshun teaches us about magnetism, how to attract rather than chase, how to move with grace, and how to have emotional intelligence, and how that can guide us through complex human relationships. I really believe that, as these spirits having this human experience, we are experiencing life through relation constantly, through relationships. So Oshun's medicine is the medicine of flow, like the river, always constantly in motion. Flow meaning emotional flow, creative flow, sexual flow, and relational flow. Where Oshun is honored, we see that life tends to flourish. Where there is beauty, abundance, and a sense that the waters of life are moving more freely. I love to remind folks that Oshun is also a warrior. Her power doesn't always appear very obvious in the way that Ogun does with his machete. But instead, her strength is subtle, it's strategic, and it's really influential. I think because it's moving with this deep flow, this deep embodiment of just being. Many patakis remind us that when Oshun has been ignored or silenced or disrespected, the literal entire balance of life begins to collapse. The rivers run dry, and living sort of fades away. Her power isn't loud, but it is very essential. Oshun teaches us that a warrior doesn't always need to raise a weapon. Sometimes the most powerful act is withholding one's sweetness or one's nourishment or one's life-giving presence. When the river stops flowing, everybody feels it. And that too is a form of warrior medicine. And now we have the Orisha Ogun, who is the Orisha of iron, metal, we mentioned war, and the technologies that shape human life. We see that in the rise of AI right now as well this year, like exponentially. His domain includes tools, blades, weapons, and the infrastructures that allow society to function. Wherever iron is present, whether it's from a jibaro's machete, a surgeon's scalpel, or the steel structures that hold our cities together, that is Ogun's energy at work. That is Ogun's ashe. He is also the keeper of the roads and pathways. He is the force that clears the way, both physically as well as spiritually. When we speak about opening the roads, we're often calling Ogun to cut through the obstacles and remove what blocks our movement. There is a pataki of Ogun that speaks when the Orisha were coming to earth. Ogun and his machete were the ones that cleared the path for those to move forward. He governs action, willpower, and the discipline required to bring intention into reality. Let me repeat that. The discipline that it requires to bring your intention into reality. He is the patron of workers, builders, artisans, mechanics, farmers, and anyone whose labor shapes our material world. Ogun's medicine is not passive in the least bit. He teaches us that blessings are earned through effort, through integrity, and through persistence. Ogun also rules boundaries and protection, giving us the strength to defend what is sacred and to offer a clear no, like saying it with your chest when it's necessary. At his core, Ogun is about survival and endurance and the grit that keeps us moving forward even when the path feels difficult or we're unsure of the path. In our body, Ogun's energy is often associated with muscles, with tendons, and with the strength of our heart. In my spiritual path, we see Ogun living at the Achilles heel. As we mentioned, Ogun lives at the crossroads. He opens the roadways for us alongside Elegua. So Eshu Elegua is going to be opening the roads for us, allowing that, choice to appear. But it is actually Ogun's energy that in the Achilles heel is what pushes us forward, is what gives us the drive to move forward on that path. Ogun reminds us to stand firmly in our stature, to align our words with our actions, and to cut through stagnation so that life can continue moving forward with purpose. And now we'll get into some plant medicines. I love to talk about both the physical aspects of plants as well as the spiritual because they always 10 out of 10 go hand in hand. And a lot of these, as I mentioned, are herbs that we may have in our cabinets currently. So I think it's really nice to learn about it from two different perspectives. I'm also a clinical herbalist and a huge nerd, so we're going to go through all the things. So I'm excited. So first we have basil, aka albahaca, aka ephedrine. So the physical benefits of this plant, a lot of us are very familiar with this herb. It is fragrant, a highly medicinal herb used both in the kitchen as well as throughout many spiritual ceremonies. It strengthens the body's vital system and soothes the spirit, even through just the smell of basil. It is a digestive aid, helps to relieve gas, bloating, sluggish digestion, and awakening the digestive fire within us. It is a stress reliever. As I mentioned, just like the sense of it, having it as a tea calms the nervous system, eases anxiety, worry, and overthinking. So it definitely tends to our mind. It's an antimicrobial. When we use it as a poultice or an infused oil, basil helps to cleanse minor wounds and prevent infection. It is a respiratory support plant. Having a warm infusion in a steam or as a tea can soothe coughs, clear mucus, and open the lungs. It is an anti-inflammatory. The volatile oil, so the smell of basil, reduces inflammation, offering gentle pain and swelling relief. And this is used fresh as well as dried. So the herbal energetics, when we are, that tasting the plants, it is warming, it's also drying. This means that it's helping to clear stagnation, dispels dampness from the body, and uplifts heavy moods. Elementals of basil are fire and air. Basil awakens the inner spark within us, clearing the mind and refreshing the heart. The energetic quality is really uplifting, clarifying, and very protective. These chakra and energy center correlations are the heart and the solar plexus. It helps to balance will, compassion, softening anger, and reigniting joy. So the spiritual energetics of basil, this plant is often revered as a plant for protection, for purification, and for blessings across many Afro-Caribbean and Mediterranean lineages. Even just having the plant in your house, it's known to sweeten the home and open the heart while dispelling negativity and confusion. It is also a powerful road opener. I love to talk about this plant because, again, so many of us may have this in our herb cabinet. And when we are moving through moments of tension, whether it's with family or the person you live with, or tension within ourselves, cooking with basil, sitting with basil tea really helps to clear that from the body, from the spirit. I just want to offer that. So basil is great for protection and purification. This is my go-to plant when I'm doing a baño, a quick spiritual baño. My Milo Santo is like basil always. Basil and some Florida water, basil and just basil. Basil's gonna help you out when you need it. So using spiritual baths and floor washes, this is helpful to remove dense or stagnant energy and fortify our aura. It is helpful for calling in love and prosperity, drawing in abundance, harmony, and affection. Placing basil by the door or in bowls of water are said to bless our homes or your spaces, any spaces. It calls in clarity and alignment, clearing energetic clutter, restoring focus, strength, spiritual discernment. It's often used for spiritual offerings, commonly offered to spirits or deities for peace, balance, and to be in right relation. The spiritual connections from the ADR perspectives. So I offered a few different connections here. So we're talking about Oshun for this moment, where basil really brings out sweetness and a aroma that pleases Oshun. It's something that we offer Oshun on the altar. It calls in love, it calls in harmony, and it calls in joy. This is also a great plant to offer to your ancestral altar, offered for spiritual protection and to maintain balance between the physical and the unseen world, especially for those of us. This is a beautiful plant for those of us who work in espiritismo, who work in mediumship, who work in, stepping in between the veil. This really helps us to maintain that balance, like calling yourself, your spirit back to your body and allowing us to walk with protection in the other realms. This is also a plant that is connected to the Orisha Obatala. This is often used in baths for calling in purity, peace, and clarity of the mind. This is a beautiful head wash plant when you are finding yourself really anxious in your mind, where thoughts kind of loop, where you find yourself up at night. Excuse me. When you find yourself up at night, where when your anxiety is really right up here, like right in the crown. This is a beautiful plant to, again, use as a bath or a head wash, pouring that over your body, calling in that connection of Obatala, that connection of Oshun, that energy to clear away. And, Oshun creates the movement. Obatala gives us a cool mind and a clear head. This plant is also connected to the Orisha Elegua. Basil is one of the main plants that we use when we do road opening ceremonies. So it helps to open the roads, helps to bring good fortune, and to protect pathways from negative influences. I want to make sure we have time for any questions about basil or anything that I've mentioned thus far. Feel free to unmute yourself because, oh no, I see the chat now. Okay. Is there a specific kind of basil?
I was gonna say that.
No, there's not a specific kind of basil. The basil that you get at the grocery store, at the farmer's market, is the basil. And what does ADR stand for? It stands for African Diasporic Religions. How do I prepare the basil? Boil or just soak the leaves in a bath? So that's a great question. There are two ways that you can make a spiritual. If you have dried basil, boiling it as a tea, allowing it to simmer for a while is the best way to do that. Let it cool, strain it out, and you can pour it over your body. If you have access to fresh basil, what I do is just get a pot, some warm water or cool water, and really master herbs with my hands, like ripping them apart, rubbing them between my fingers. Your goal is to get the water as green as possible. And then from there, straining out the herbs and pouring that over your body. We'll have a class on baño soon, but that's a simple rundown. Definitely saying prayers over creating a sacred space, all of that as well. Is there a difference between holy basil and basil? Yes, holy basil is a plant called tulsi. It's T-U-S-L-I. I'm just scanning for any other questions I may have missed. When using basil for altar offerings, how should it be prepared? So you can do, even if you get one of those, like I've seen a lot of basil plants at Trader Joe's, you can have a little plant that lives on the altar that represents earth and connection. You can also put leaves of basil on the altar. You can also brew a basil tea. It really is dependent on what you feel called to what form of basil you want to present to them. Also, if you are going to be making a tea for your ancestors with the basil, it might be really nice to have a teacup for them as you sip tea and, be in prayer, be in connection and communion with them. For an altar offering, how long should you keep it there and what's the best way to dispose? If you're going to be giving basil, this is my opinion, if I'm going to be putting basil that I got from, the herbs, putting it on there, I would say before it's super wilty. But you'll find, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, whether you're putting herbs on your altar or a bouquet of flowers, they tend to stay fresher much longer than when it's just on a shelf. So, before it gets wilty and like sad looking, you can dispose of it. Some folks will leave it at a tree. Yes, they do definitely last longer. Okay, well, there'll be more time for Q&A in a bit, so we will keep it cruising. So the next plant we're going to be
Lindsay,
talking
quick
about.
question.
Yes,
Sorry, Lindsay, quick question.
of course.
For me, it's like your video is like the sound is like pausing or glitching in moments. I don't know
Oh,
for other
okay.
folks, but
Is anybody else experiencing that?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
think
a
it. I think
microsecond delay. Yeah.
I'm
it
sorry.
might just be Wi-Fi, but
Yeah, I'm in a place, well, I'm at home, but my Wi-Fi, it's super windy outside. So it's like maybe the wind and the Wi-Fi and the things. I'm so sorry about that, y'all. But y'all are able to follow along. Is it too bad of a glitch where it's
no, it's not bad. Like we can. It. The thing is, it doesn't skip your words. It pauses and then it starts right where you left off, but like it makes you a little fast, which is kind of funny. It almost like fast forwards you so
okay?
that then it like catches up. It's really kind of funny.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
It's a little
Okay, well,
inconvenient, but your message is coming across beautifully.
okay. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Okay, well, we're gonna keep it moving and hope that this glitch unglitches. Is Mercury out of retrograde yet? I don't think so, but
Not yet.
okay. Well, we're gonna move on to dandelion. Dandelion is a powerful, nutrient-rich plant known for its cleansing properties and its restorative properties. We use literally every part of this plant from the roots to the leaves to the flower heads. The whole plant, so much medicine. Even I wanted to use a photo for the plant where it's coming out of concrete because that's how I'm the most familiar with it. Living, growing up in New York, I was
Lindsay,
told that yes.
we still have basil on the screen.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, let me try and start this over. All right, we're gonna reshare. Thank you. Okay. Is the dandelion now that y'all see? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. So as I was mentioning, I wanted to put a photo of the plant growing through concrete because it does represent resilience and strength and fortitude. So on a physical level, dandelion supports the liver and detoxing. The root of dandelion stimulates bile flow and gently detoxifies the liver, helping the body to release toxins and stagnation. It is also a digestive aid. Its bitterness awakens the appetite and supports digestion, especially when we're feeling sluggish or heavy. It is also a diuretic. When you cook with the leaves, have tea with the leaves, they encourage elimination through the kidneys, reducing water retention and swelling. It is a mineral-rich tonic. It's high in potassium, in calcium, and in iron. It's a really great plant to help us after we are rebuilding our immune system after illness. Something really special about dandelion, especially for those in the East Coast right now. I know it's like still cold, but in the next couple of weeks, there are going to be lots of dandelions popping up, just like this one in the photo. And this plant comes right at the beginning of spring when it's time for our bodies to detox after a long winter, when it's time for our bodies to release dampness, to begin that movement and flow through gentle detoxification. And I think it's so beautiful because the plants are, the medicine we need is literally probably at your doorstep. Yeah, that's so special. So the herbal energetics of dandelion, when you taste the roots or the leaves or even the edible flower heads, it is cooling, it's drying, it clears heat in the body, it clears toxins, and it clears emotional tension. Something I want to mention here, because we talked about the liver, dandelion supporting the liver. Our liver, as it detoxes the things that we consume, it is also where we detox emotions and feelings. It is where we hold grudges, where we might hold, lingering emotions. And sometimes that shows up as heat in the body. So this is a really great plant to work with if you are trying to move through some shit from the past, something that we might be holding on to for longer than, we need to be. Again, helping us to ease and remove emotional tension. Its elemental nature, it is represented by both earth as well as air. It clears stagnation while grounding the spirit with clarity and resilience. So not only is it clearing things from our body, but it's helping us to be more present, more embodied, and more, present right here in this moment. Its energetic quality, it is purifying, it is strengthening, and it is liberating. I love to look at the leaves of the dandelion. This plant is connected to Ogun, and it looks very much like they're very sharp, like they could be used as machetes to clear the path, to liberate and to free us from, as I mentioned, anything that's lingering in the body or anything spiritually that's lingering or, holding us down a bit. The chakra and energy center correlations, it is connected to the solar plexus as well as the root chakra. This plant helps us to restore personal power, helps us to reach in for more courage, and helps us with fortifying our stability after moving through challenges and through burnout, just restoring nutritives and also like spiritually, it's nutritive. The spiritual energetics of dandelion. This is a plant of, as I mentioned, resilience, release, as well as renewal. This plant will grow wherever it's needed the most. It thrives even through the hardest ground. Spiritually, this plant teaches us strength through surrender as well as adaptation. For me, as I mentioned, this plant represents resilience. It is warrior medicine. Spiritually, this is cleansing again and liberating. When we use this in baths or in barridas, which we'll be discussing next, it helps us to release heaviness, grief, and attachments to the past. We could call this a cord cutting plant. It represents grounding and renewal, helping us to connect to our body and to our spirit after emotional strain, after, again, a challenging time, after experiencing burnout or spiritual exhaustion. It helps us with manifestation and direction. The seeds of this plant symbolize expansion and the spreading of intentions. Whether we see it, when there's the dried dandelion head where we can blow the seeds, or even just the way that this plant grows and the way that folks try to rip it out the earth and 5 more will pop up. It's like, no, we are here. We are the warriors. We are here. This is a beautiful plant to use for offerings. This can be used to give our spirits endurance, protection, and the blessing of steady progress. If you practice espiritismo or any type of again, ADR traditions, when we're doing the practice of elevating our ancestors, this is a beautiful plant to leave at the altar for them to, again, help them on this path of endurance, help them on this path of progress and light. Some ritual uses, I didn't list them on here, but commonly folks will use this as a tea or as a spiritual bath, used for cleansing and renewal if you're, again, feeling spiritually heavy or tired. Again, even just witnessing the things that we're seeing in the world, we are collecting some of that spiritual debris. So this is a great plant to maintain spiritual hygiene. If you have dried leaves or dried roots from this plant, you can burn it in a white fire limpia or just burn it on a charcoal to clear stagnation in a home and to open the roads. You can place this plant near your altar as a symbol of courage and perseverance. And this is a great plant to add to any spiritual work that you're doing that helps us to release blockages and to call in forward movement. Again, thinking of this plant as a machete, as an herbal machete to really help us clear and cut through. The spiritual connections from the ADR perspectives. This is a plant strongly connected to the Orisha Ogun. Dandelion carries the strength of endurance and of iron. It clears the path, it restores vitality, and fortifies the warrior spirit. We offer this plant to Ogun for asking him to help us with more courage, having more clarity, and for perseverance through times of struggle. This is also a plant connected to the Orisha Babaluaye or Obaluaye. Dandelion embodies healing from illness. As we mentioned, how nutritive dense this plant is. It's helpful for purification of the blood. It helps to regenerate both the physical body and our subtle energy body. It supports those navigating sickness, moments of deep transformation, or deep physical renewal. Again, as I mentioned before, this is a beautiful plant to offer to your ancestral altar or any ancestral elevation practices you might be doing. Offering this honors our ancestors' resilience, their healing through hardship, and wisdom that was gained from endurance. I will take a moment for any questions. Oh, there's a lot of chats. Okay, let me scroll through here. Oh, look at people intuitively working with dandelion tea. I love this. I'm not sure about using it for pregnancy. I don't want to say yes or no. I feel like I ate dandelions while I was pregnant, but I would double check on that. Yes, dandelion and burdock tincture sounds amazing together. That's a beautiful pairing. So much crying, so much release. Yes, the waters of your body just like truly moving. That's really beautiful. Yes, someone substituted dandelion for black coffee. I love that. Oh, you're allergic to dandelion. Yes, someone mentioned milk thistle or nettles. I would definitely go nettle all day. They have very similar energetics. Nettle is also a plant of Ogun as well as the Orisha Ochosi. So that is also deep warrior medicine. Yes, dandelion is amazing postpartum. Again, that nutrient dense magic. Any other questions regarding dandelion or any basal questions that I might have missed? For children, both dandelion as well as basil are safe for children.
There's just someone that asked about access to the
And
recordings.
asked about the recording. Yes, you will have access to the recordings. They should be up in the next day or so. And I'll send an email to everyone who signed up for the class with the recording as well as some notes. Okay, so we will move on to barridas. So these two plants are two of the main plants that I use when doing the spiritual practice of barridas. So this is a practice where we are sweeping, truly sweeping with the plants. Barridas cleanse or eliminate negative energy or dense energy by transferring them to the plants and sweeping them away from our auric fields. The herbs that we use in barridas are typically great for clearing away dense energies because literally every plant has cleansing properties. Every plant has cleansing properties, sweetening properties. They both carry shadow and light just like humans do. I have this picture here because that's what I had. But I wanted to talk about flowers since we didn't cover flowers this evening. But flowers are generally used to call in and attract, to inspire, to call in calmness, fortune, clearing your mind, clearing away any depressive feelings, stuckness, energetic gunk, etc. So when is it a good time to do a barrida? We get these cues through, you might be feeling tired, like, when you have you feel like what is a good night's sleep, but you're still feeling really energetically drained. It might be time for this type of spiritual hygiene work. If you're feeling particularly extra anxious, again, noting on low energy, if you're finding yourself more irritable or moody more than usual, if you're experiencing streaks of bad luck and not just the retrograde vibes, but really like something feels off. If you're going through sickness back to back, and also just as a spiritual hygiene practice, again, the reason that we're gathered here this evening is to move through challenging times, heavy times, this is a really great, simple practice that you weave into your daily life or your, weekly life or monthly life. Something that can be really easy, something you can do for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, for community, etc. So how do we perform a barrida? I believe this is the last one, yes. Let me stop sharing for a moment. Okay. So I have some green leaves here. So what I would do with the barrida, let's say I have the basil and dandelion here, I would spray them with Florida water or cleanse them in incense or sage, anything that you have, smoke clearing. And what you want to do is start at the top of your head. So you start by gently tapping, connecting to the plant, connecting to the herbs that you're using, and you begin to gently sweep away. If you are experiencing mental anxiety, looping thoughts, again, everything that's up in the crown or area, spend more time there speaking prayers over yourself and over these herbs. I'm clearing away these anxious thoughts. I'm clearing away the insomnia that I'm experiencing. Definitely clearing, wiping over your eyes to help you see more clearly, to have more clarity. Wiping over your mouth, the way you speak over your words, over your life, wiping over your throat, to help you express more clearly, more authentically. I always wipe the nuca, the back of my neck, because that's a place where a lot of us hold energetic stagnation. You find yourself with your shoulders really high. Start sweeping this area. This area is where we hold a lot of unexpressed words. So helping us to release any stagnation in that area, moving over your heart to help you clear away any grief, trying to reach over and get to your back heart as well for anything that we may have pushed to the past, going over your arms, your hands, thanking your hands for the things that they help you do, create, move through the world, hold on to. And then again, just thoughtfully moving through your body and sweeping in a downward motion, going to the sides of your body. Our obliques are where joy is stored. So if we're having a hard time experiencing joy, I would hit the plant gently in those areas and then begin to sweep. Hit the plant gently and sweep away. If you're experiencing any issues in the womb space, the sacral space, again, taking a moment there with the plant, gently tapping that part of your body and sweeping away. Taking your time, breathing, listening to your body, getting your lower back, all the places that might hold some aches and some creaks, some, muscle tension. Take some time. And again, that gentle tapping is so restorative, so supportive. Gentle tapping and sweeping in a downward motion all the way down to the soles of your feet. And when you're done with that, our practice is to offer it to a tree. You can keep it, if you're going to do it at night before bed, keep it by the door. And when you're on your way to wherever you're going the next day, just drop them gently by a tree, thanking the tree for receiving this, everything that you've released and composting that. Folks in the past have asked if you can use the same barrida on yourself and then use it on your child or use it on your partner. I like to use different barridas. I like to, use one for one person and then use a second for the next person. There are some practices where folks spray or clear again with smoke and then do that. So you feel into what works for you. Is it okay to use the flowers that we have on our ancestral altar? I wouldn't, because those are definitely an offering for them. What I have done in the past, though, is leave flowers that I'm going to use, specifically for barrida. I would leave them on the altar for a moment, pray over them, allow my ancestors to, connect with those plants, and then do the barrida. Is it perimenopause to anybody that I'm cracking up? The body that doesn't hurt, you know? And yes, I can definitely share the slides along with the recording. That's no problem at all. I was using the barrida with mapacho. If you have mapacho leaves, that is a beautiful plant to do a barrida with. It's definitely, if we're talking about warrior medicine this evening, it is strong warrior medicine. Definitely similar to the machete coming in to clear and to ground your energy. That's literally what I have, a little piece of oh, somebody said a piece of lechuga is much cheaper than using. Yes, that's what I had here. I was like, we got needing something green right now. And I know it hasn't come up yet, but I have received the question in the past. I'm using fresh herbs versus dried herbs when you're doing a barrida. In the tradition that I learned, fresh herbs are optimal for doing this work because it is, it's still alive right now. It's literally in real time transmuting, transferring, holding on to the things that we are picking up. Can you do this with dried plants? Most definitely. Um, but again, traditionally what I was taught is that it's not going to give you the same experience as the fresh plants. But it's not to say it can't be done. Can I use Palo Santo or Copal to activate my barrida plants? Or should it be a mist of spray? It can be either. It depends whatever you feel the close connection to. If you already are cleansing your spiritual tools or talismans with incense or resin, Palo Santo sage, definitely if that feels good for you, go that route. I tend to mist. I always have a little spray bottle. We have a rosas and machete spray. That's our version of Florida water. I use that on everything, but I'm very connected to the element of water and those properties. And please feel free if you want to unmute yourself to ask a question. That is
Lindsay, is there a good
all
time
good.
of like week or a day that is best for barridas?
That's a good question. Um, I want to give you a correct answer, but I don't have a specific whether a Thursday is better or a Friday. I like to do my barridas on Mondays or Sunday nights before I'm starting the week off. But Mondays for me tend to be my spiritual day where I'm tending to the altars, prepping baños for the week, things of that sort.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, aside from basil and dandelion for Oshun and Ogun offerings, for altar or it went away. For altar or home, what are other flowers that can be used for your altar? As I mentioned before, all herbs carry cleansing properties of light and progression as well. My favorite practice, especially for folks who are dabbling and like getting more comfortable with spiritual herbalism or feeling connected to particular plants, is to really trust your intuition. If you're going to the flower area of the store or the supermarket and you're like, I don't really know what flower is, but I'm feeling really drawn to it. I would say take it home with you and then begin to do some research because 9 times out of 10, you're going to find that the properties of these particular flowers or plants are exactly what you might be needing in that moment. So I definitely encourage exploration, curiosity. Curiosity is intuition bundled up. We definitely went a lot over time. So thank you, everyone who stuck around. I was like, we'll be done by 9. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm an hour ahead, so I'm a little off. How do I know if I've connected with a plant? I hear about people working with plant spirits all the time. I feel drawn to herbalism, but I don't hear or see the plants in the ways that others say that they do. This is a really great question. And I would encourage you to spend some time in nature. I know for folks in parts of the world right now, it might be winter and cold and like anybody trying to go outside in that way. But when you are able to, visiting a place like the Botanic Gardens, visiting, different community gardens around your area, and just sitting with the plants. Even just walking through the parks. I remember walking through Prospect Park, even in the cold, and it's like you're gonna find, even if it's particular trees that speak to you, and you're like, I don't know what about this tree, but it's so beautiful. The way the leaves are rustling in the wind, like, oh my God, that is exactly the plant speaking to you. If you are walking down the aisles of the fresh herbs in the supermarket and you're like, oh, I never worked with whatever this plant is, maybe it's rosemary or something, it's very common, but something you're feeling really drawn to it, or something that's not very familiar, that is the energy and the spirit of the plant speaking to you and wanting to create a relationship, wanting to get to know you. Hiking works. Yes, hiking is beautiful. I think just the quietness of being in nature as much as we can, or even if it's not quiet, but being surrounded by nature as much as we can, they really begin to speak to us in ways that, they're not going to be like, "Psst, psst," but they kind of are. It kind of feels that way in moments. What herbs and flowers do you use for barridas? Again, we talked about just two today because of the time that we have together. But there are so many. You can use any plant, any flower, any herb for barrida. If you want to get very specific, we have a lot more information on our Instagram and in the Substack, like with specific herbs for clearing. If you want to do a barrida to cut cords or to clear dense energy, if you want to do a barrida for, mental clarity, to clear grief from the heart, or to call in love, light, and healing. Which Orisha am I connected to? I my eleges are for Ochosi and Babaluaye. Those are the two Orisha that I received. How do I know if I've connected with a plant? I hear, oh, okay, I read that one already. My bad. Mm-mm-mm. Do you have to be initiated to do a barrida? No, you don't. And that's the beautiful thing about these practices, is that plants are for everyone. Plants are our companions through this lifetime. So you do not need to be an initiate of any particular spiritual practice. You do not need to be an herbalist. You just have to be open. And creating a relationship of reciprocity with these plants where we're taking a moment to honor them, thank them, and then being able to utilize them for the work that they do for us, with us, alongside us. How do I know which Orisha I'm connected to? This is a process of divination, connecting to specific African traditional religions. And there are many within the path, like Ifa, there's Lukumi, there's Candomblé, there's Umbanda, there's Palo, there's 21 Division, there's so many, which we'll be talking a lot about within the School of Remembrance, and having different elders coming from various ATRs to speak on those practices. What time our classes will be held during the school? Yes, so class will be Mondays. We're going to be meeting 4 times a week with the School of Remembrance. 2 classes are for course materials. It'll be Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 2 Mondays will be designated course material, and then we'll have the other 2 Mondays for electives. One will be time with me where we can talk about anything that wants to come up, whether it's clarification on practices or, just community conversation. And the fourth Monday will be the elective that has rotating faculty members coming in to offer healing sessions for students. We're going to be doing a lot of work on preservation and documentation throughout the process because, along the studies, I've found that there have not been a lot of text or preservation work done for Caribbean African diasporic practices. So we'll be focusing on that so that we have something to pass on, whether it's to children, family members, lineage work, but there's something for us to refer back to. So that'll be one of the Mondays as well. Can you talk more about how we can qualify for the last months of the program to Puerto Rico? Yes, thank you for this question. So within the year-long program, it is divided into 3 levels. The first 2 levels, we're really working on the fundamentals, we believe to be the fundamentals of remembrance, of connecting to our ancestors and our practices through various rites, we call them. So we'll be moving through, we're starting with Espiritismo. We'll be talking about somatics and energy. There will be a Reiki initiation or reattunement for those who have been attuned. And then level 3 is where we'll be going really deep into early childhood work, past life regression work. We'll be talking about how to name and claim the type of work that we're doing, just to give some language to be able to really be rooted in the work that we're putting out into the world. And to qualify for level 3, what we're looking for is participation throughout the year. So many of us have been in, I don't know, countless like Zoom platforms or like school certification experiences where you never see the people that are, in this cohort with you because their screens are off. They don't participate verbally. They're not showing up for classes. And for some schools, that is great, and that works well for them. But for the kind of work that we're doing with the School of Remembrance, we're asking for participation. We're focusing a lot on ethics and care and being in right relationship. And the only way to understand how to do that is to do that. So that's what we're looking for folks to qualify for level 3. And within level 3, I said we'll be moving through some deeper practices, a lot of work on protection, working with entities, learning how to clear and protect yourself. We'll be working with therapists as well, understanding how to move through moments of trigger. Let's say you're working with a client or someone you're tending to and something that they're moving through deeply triggering to. How do you maintain groundedness? How do you maintain being a supportive, person for them? So we'll have training in all of these aspects. And we culminate at the end of the year of 2027 in October. We're going to be meeting in Puerto Rico for a retreat and an initiation in Ayunque at a waterfall that I've been working at for many, many years. What time are the classes? So the classes will be held again Mondays at 6 p.m. And they are recorded. Again, life happens. We are hoping for participation, but of course, they're going to be some Mondays that you might be taking class from the car or, you might be on vacation, whatever the case is. So there will be access throughout our time together within the portal. The program has not started. It starts on June 29th. These classes are, as I mentioned earlier, they are a peek into the type of work we'll be really diving into throughout the year. And they also act as prerequisites for folks who are joining the School of Remembrance. There are still seats for sliding scale pricing. The early bird did end a few days ago on the 15th. Will it be in person or online only? At this moment, we're going to be doing the classes virtually. When we get into level 2, there's going to be opportunities for us to connect at our Botanica in the Bronx for practice, because by the time level 2 comes, we'll be working with learning how to do egg limpiezas, learning how to walk people through regression therapy as well. So we'll have opportunities to connect. And then, if there are more than a few folks in, another city outside of New York, eventually we'll start curating spaces for, folks to connect there as well. Our barrida is different than limpias. No, they are another form of a limpia. Limpias can come in many ways. A barrida is one of many forms of doing spiritual cleansings. The enrollment deadline will probably be a few weeks before, maybe mid-June. We're still figuring it out. We've been having a really great response to the program. So I want to make sure that we leave room for folks who are really meant to be there to be able to join us this year. There are payment plans available. We're working with, when you join, we're actually sending our first round of acceptance letters this week. So we're offering everything from 14-month payment plans to a one-time payment. So participants are able to sit with the tuition tier they chose and really work out, their mathing to figure out what a monthly payment plan looks like for them. We really want to make this accessible first, because I really believe that this kind of work, this type of, collective remembrance is really needed in this moment. After the barrida is done, what do we do with the flowers and herbs? Okay, so after the barrida is done, you can set it aside. I usually put it by the front door because I know that when I leave the next morning, I'm going to take them with me and just drop them by a tree or even at the crossroads. I didn't mention that before, but if you walk by or live near crossroads, you can drop it anywhere that feels good for you in that vicinity. The in-persons will most likely be on the weekends. Yes, we want to make sure that folks are able to connect in person Saturday, Sunday. We'll figure that out, but it'll definitely be a weekend function. Yes, someone asked, can I speak about who the School of Remembrance is for, beginners or people that are spiritual practitioners? So the school is created for folks who are currently practitioners or folks who are looking to walk on to that path. So emerging healers and practitioners. And I've gotten a lot of questions, even from folks who are applying, as what is a healer? Who is a practitioner? And to give you an example, within the program now, there will be people who have been practicing medicine people for 20 plus years. And then there are folks who are, attending homeschool groups and are these healers in this way as well. Parents who are stepping onto the path and wanting to carry this lineage of remembrance. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you are working at a botanica, that you are seeing clients for Reiki or sound baths. Yes, and the goal with the program and the completion of the program is for folks to step into their healer selves for, again, family members, community members, and beyond. It's very specific to the individual. The classes start at 6 p.m. and the ending time will definitely vary. Some classes will be more lecture style, like today, just a lot of receiving of information. And then there will be many classes where we are sitting in ceremony, going through the past life regressions, sitting with elders where, we're sitting at the feet of elders. So we want to be able to sit, receive, take time, things of that sort. So they may vary from 90 minutes to 2 hours plus. But again, they will be recorded. So if you do have to hop off earlier, you're not able to make the full class, you'll be able to receive the information as well. How can you apply for the community sliding scale? It's an option in the application. We have a few different tuition tiers for folks to choose through. Alrighty, y'all. If we were able to meet with you, that this mean we'll get the invitation soon. Yes, if we've already had our conversations, you'll be hearing from me before the 21st of this month. So by this weekend. Can we connect with you through email? You can definitely reach out to me via email. I'll drop it in the comments, the chat again. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions about the school. Can you participate if your ancestors are not African, but are primarily indigenous to the Americas? You can. We're actually working on sort of liberation courses to take before the course begins. And there'll be more information coming out about that in the coming weeks as well. Okay, y'all. I appreciate you so much for taking the time this evening and for sitting with me, listening to me about plants of the Orisha. It really makes me so happy. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You will be receiving this recording along with the slides in the next 24 hours or so. Happy new moon, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye.
Hi.